Oda just gave us one of the best introductions in the One Piece story, with the accursed prince Loki being found by Monkey D. Luffy with his eyes covered, and he asked Luffy to state his name, showing great observation haki on a similar level to Fujitora. Obviously, Fujitora observation haki is insane because the man is literally blind, but not to get too sidetracked, Loki doesn't just ask to state his name, he also explains how Warland Elbaf is the birth of war, which shakes the entire island. This guy is shaking the entire island just off of his presence, off his voice. But also he says he is the sun god who will bring the end of the world. Ironic is that he says this to Luffy, the literal sun god Nika. But his intro reminds me of Kaido, who wanted the greatest war the world has ever seen, and also at one point thought he was Joy Boy, but that's another video for another day. Today I want to focus on this incredibly powerful warrior. So like this video, subscribe for more One Piece content as we do a deep dive on Loki, the strongest giant in the One Piece story. Now, in the most recent installment of One Piece, we actually get a lot of information about this character. We had, of course, the new giant pirate ship, Dr. Jerd, saying they call Loki the shame of Elbaf. Then we see Zoro ask Luffy what's wrong, in which Luffy replies, "You feel that? I'm getting goosebumps." The fact that only Luffy felt Loki's presence is insane. Must mean he's incredibly powerful. We also found out that, of course, Hajiruden is the king's son, making him Loki's older brother. And of course, maybe the Thor to Loki in the One Piece story. And they explain that Loki, the accursed prince, devoted himself to darkness, and all the Elbaf warriors had to work together to capture him. Now you have to understand, that's a lot of giants, not just regular giants. There's Elbaf warriors. This island is the mightiest nation in the world, and they all work together. Not just 1, 2, 10, 20. They all work together to make sure that Loki was captured. Loki is a beast. Loki has some fame that even Jinbei knows of him, and we learned he killed his father, King Harold, for a legendary delve fruit passed down through the royal family, making him even more stronger than we already thought he was. And that's why they can't let him go, or else it's the end of everything. He's that powerful, guys. If it takes your entire island of Elbaf warriors to capture someone, yeah, he's the real deal. This is no joke. I remember during Whole Cake Island, Judge Finsmoke let Big Mom know that there is no giants on Whole Cake Island, and Big Mom gave a very dirty look. Now, mind you, you have to understand this. Us as readers have been dealing with giants since Little Garden with Dorry and Brogy, to Endy's lobby with Omi and Kashi, to Sabaody with, of course, the giant slave with Rayleigh, and then, of course, Marineford War with, of course, the Vice Admiral Giants, of course, to Dressrosa having a giant join our fleet in Hajiruden. All in all, giants are a big part in the One Piece series, so I'm not surprised Oda would open an interesting plotline during the Versus Emperor saga, and even limit their appearance all the way up until the final saga with Elbaf currently running. And then, of course, you have Egghead Island with Eustace Kid versus Shanks, and then Dorry and Brogy's crew joining Gear 5 Luffy versus the Gorosei. Oda is cooking something that's going to be really, really good. We learn of Lola from Thriller Bark having a surprise suitor, being Prince Loki of Elbaf, the land of giants, during the Whole Cake Island arc, who said it was love at first sight. So either Loki was a genius trying to use Lola to get at Big Mom somehow, or he likes ugly bitches. Excuse my language. Big Mom looked at this as a win because she gets to squash her long beef with the Elbaf giants she used to view as family, and also use the mightiest nation in the world as a fighting force. But of course, Lola ran away, and they tried to use Chiffon, but it failed. This could mean Lola, Chiffon, Capone could play a part in this arc before, because of Loki, a major role in Elbaf. All I know is that Big Mom has some crazy obsession with giants because of her childhood, and how she wants giants, everyone to be giants, like Caesar with the kids and Punk Hazard, and that whole giantification stuff. Big Mom is really wanting that, so definitely want to say Oda might even have a surprise return of the Big Mama. And most importantly, Big Mom, who we saw have a relationship with Mother Caramel, who brought, of course, the giants and humans together, or what the giants believed. And then, of course, Omi and Kashi are part of Dorry and Brogy's crew. And then there is Hajiruden, who's a part of Luffy's Grand Fleet. And then, of course, Beard Hill, of course, Ja Rule, who lost his battle companion of 300 years with Jorul to Big Mom. All in all, the birth of Rodo, who's trolling the Straw Hats currently in Elbaf. And then, of course, we had Goldberg, who's the crew's, of course, cook. and also Prince Loki all happened during Big Mom's madness of the Semla. So expect a lot of lore, especially with red hair Shank's ties to Elbaf. We could even see Loki's ties to Goldie Roger or Rexy Zebek if Oda truly wants to. Oda has a lot of room to expand with Elbaf. It's one of those arcs that's kind of similar to Wano, but people are just not realizing it. And when you think of marine giants, one of the most impactful marine giant is John the Giant. First of all, in the East Blue, end of East Blue, it's literally him talking to all the Marines. And then, of course, we know that Mother Caramel brought John the Giant to, of course, the Marines, and that's what they really like. They like giants becoming vice admirals. And then, of course, if you think about it, John the Giant was a Marine vice admiral that went up against Whitebeard. Yeah, he was fighting Whitebeard in Marineford War. Yeah, Whitebeard did him dirty and pretty much low diffed him, but he did better than the other giant that fought Whitebeard. So I gotta say this, John the Giant has always been an impactful Vice Admiral Giant, in my opinion. Then there's, of course, the other impactful Marine Vice Admiral, which is Jaguar D. Saul during Nico Robin's flashback, of course, going against the Marines. And, of course, Aokiji had to take him out, which was a very Derishishishi moment. And then, of course, the fact that they brought him back to life and how he's, saved some of Ohara's books. And now he's waiting on Elbaf. Jaguar D. Saul, first of all, the reason why this giant is probably one of the most important giants in the One Piece story is because of his initial D. Jaguar D. Saul. That means there's giants with the rule of D, and it ties back to the Void Sentry. So Elbaf has automatic ties to the Void Sentry that are going to be explored. And we already knew this with, of course, they're believing in the Sun God Nika. So yeah, Jaguar D. Saul is more important than you think, guys. And then there's Sanwan Wolf, who doesn't really have crazy ties to Elbaf. Yeah, he was born in the West Blue. He's 99 years old, as of course every giant has lived very long lives. And of course he actually ate adult fruit ability that makes him more bigger than he actually is. That's why Sanwan Wolf is the biggest character. He's a level 6 prisoner, so we know he's respected by the world government. He joined Blackbeard's pirates by defeating everybody in the level 6, so you know he's powerful. But then, of course, we saw during Egghead Island, we saw that, of course, Oda, bringing the giants in the final saga, had Garp destroy Sanwan Wolf, showing how powerful Garp is. So yeah, Sanwan Wolf is a character who... he's very, very big, but he doesn't really have big ties to Elbaf, but he is a giant of notoriety, so I had to mention him. And then, of course, there's Hajirudin, and I think Hajirudin is one of the more interesting giants, especially when Hoki Island, they had him, of course, showing him practicing to fight and be a great warrior. Big Mom was even tripping like, yo, this guy is actually serious, the real deal. Even though Big Mom was stronger than Hajirudin, it's still showing that Hajirudin wants to become powerful. And then, of course, we know during Dressrosa, Luffy pretty much low-dipped him with the one punch to the face. So that really didn't make Hajirudin look that powerful. But then Hajirudin, of course, joined the Grand Fleet with his crew and made him now a prominent character in the final saga because he's literally part of the future Pirate King's fleet. And then, of course, we all know that he found out that he's recently he's the son of the king, making him the brother of Loki. So there's going to be some ties of Hajirudin and Loki in a flashback in the past. And honestly, he's going to be a pivotal character in Elbaf, just from saying this right now, guys. And also, I have to mention Dorry and Brogy. Dorry and Brogy were, let's be honest here, what introduced us to giants and Lily Garden. It's the reason why Usopp wants to become a brave warrior of the sea. These guys were fighting, and these guys' impact is felt throughout the entire series, regardless whether it comes to Enies Lobby and Onmi and Kashi, or to, of course, Wano, when we saw Big Mom and Kaido do an exact similar move to, of course, Dorry and Brogy doing it during Lily Garden. Of course, their bounty that early on was 100 million. Mind you, Luffy had to defeat Crocodile just to get a 100 million berry bounty. And we found out their bounty was actually outdated, and they were actually worth 1.8 million berry, their new bounty. Both of them. And let's be honest, they work together, so they're technically a 3.6 billion berry bounty tandem. So they are incredibly powerful. The fact that even Shanks asked for their help when he was about to fight Kid, and the fact that they destroyed Kid's pirate ship, and then of course we all know during the blocking Gorosei attacks, like even the Gorosei are tripping like, why are they helping Luffy? Guys, these guys are the real deal. They had their battle for 100 years. The original captains of the giant pirates, of course. And of course, we all know that Joru and Jaro, the elders, were the original legends of Elbaf and the new Hajirudin. So these guys are like in between that. So expect some cool things from these two characters in Elbaf, yo. And if Loki actually takes them on 1v2 and defeats them, that means that Loki is incredibly powerful. Guarantees him as the strongest giant. Now, I gotta say this, during the post-time skip of One Piece, there's been a lot of arcs where characters that are not part of the main crew yet, or not part of the main crew in general, have made really big impacts. Like, of course, Fisherman Island, we had Jinbei, of course. He made a big impact, especially giving Luffy blood. Then, of course, Punk Hazard with Law, and, of course, forming that alliance with Luffy. Dressrosa with Sabo, and how he helped against Jesus Burgess. Then, of course, we also had Fujitora and Dressrosa, who, of course, definitely was helping big time as well. Not crazy helping, but helping a little bit. Then, of course, we had during Zou, Inarashi, and Nekomamushi, and how powerful they were. The fact that Inarashi and Nekomamushi were fighting Jack, you have to respect it. Top Yonker commander. And then, of course, we had Hoki Island with an array of characters like Capone. We also had Jinbei, and we also had the Vince Smoke family. Like, there was an array of characters doing really great things during Hoki Island. And then this is where we actually got the strongest character. Well, I'm not too sure if you can say strongest, but Yamato arguably is the strongest I'm mentioning. Of course, Law might have something to say with that. Fujitora might have something to say that. And Sabo might have something to say that. So I don't want to say Yamato's the strongest like that. But when it comes to a character that is newly introduced, Yamato is the legit Konkerzaki coding, mythical zone delver ability. People are sleeping on how powerful Yamato truly is. The son of Kaido or daughter of Kaido, regardless of what you want to say. And then, of course, Hagen Highland had Rob Bellucci, the strongest CP0 agent, who went up against Luffy and Zoro in an arc and still didn't get knocked out unconscious. I gotta give respect to respect this dude. Rob Bellucci's awakened zone durability was impressive. And then, of course, we also had the 4 Gorosei members that helped Saturn come out and show the mythical zone powers and their Konkerzaki coding and just amazing things in general. Tanking Gear 5th attacks. Like, Worker was tanking Gear 5th attacks. So post Ansgar, we always seen newly characters, and not newly characters just doing something that are not part of the main crew or the main villain group. They're really creating an impact, and that's why I want to mention Loki. If Loki is giving me Yamato vibes, and I think son of the king, but this time he's gonna be an enemy, not an ally like Yamato was. And I think Loki's probably gonna have Konkerzaki coding, advanced armor haki, advanced observation haki, and a mythical zone legendary delver ability that he could actually become the main villain of Elbaf. Now, I must admit, people are forgetting that Eustace Kid was defeated by Shanks on Elbaf, so there's a chance that Eustace Kid is actually on this island. And Eustace Kid also is giving me Loki vibes. The fact that Loki's design, and he just looks like a savage with everything, that's literally Eustace Kid's design. So I wouldn't be surprised if Eustace Kid actually fights Loki, and if maybe Eustace Kid and Luffy do a 2v1 against Loki. If Loki's that powerful, where Eustace Kid and Luffy got to team up, that will be crazy. I don't think it's gonna be the case, but I think that Eustace Kid will have some sort of run with Loki and might even team up with Loki. And if we have the main villains being Eustace Kid and Loki teaming up against Monkey D. Luffy, wow, that would be incredible. And then, of course, we have Green Bull. This Admiral Green Bull is trying to impress Akainu by taking down Gear 5th Luffy, and Shanks put a stop to it. But if he's actually serious about this, and after he took down Weevil, who was an incredibly powerful character, I think Green Bull might make himself to Elbaf with, of course, them crazy trees, the Elbaf tree, the mountain life. Green Bull, the Alpha ability is going to do wonders on Elbaf Island. And I could see Green Bull actually maybe even making Loki not a villain, but an anti-hero by, of course, doing something crazy that even Loki is disgusted by, making Green Bull the actual main villain. I'm not too sure where Oda's gonna go with this, but I feel like Green Bull have a part with Loki and even Luffy in this Elbaf arc. And what would surprise me if Loki has some sort of past with Shanks, and maybe that's why Shanks actually got the respect of the Elbaf warriors. If Shanks, with his Straw Hat days before he gave the Straw Hat to Luffy, took down Loki, and if that was a moment where people have respected Shanks, so they helped the Giants from Loki's madness, and if Loki sees Luffy's Straw Hat and thinks of Shanks, that could even add to the lore of Elbaf. So yeah, Shanks was recently just on Elbaf, so he definitely probably had a run. He probably felt the presence of Loki just how Luffy did. Like, these two guys are two Yonkos. I could see Shanks having multiple moments of Loki, maybe not even just one, multiple. And then, of course, this is the obvious. We just saw Luffy run into Loki. We could see Loki versus Luffy as the final fight, which would be crazy, of course, for them fighting for the Sun God Nika position. Of course, Elbaf is obsessed with the Sun God Nika, and of course, Luffy is actually letting have that Delver ability. Seeing them go at it would be cool. I want to see Loki's Delver ability and how it compares to Luffy, and how his haki compares to Luffy, and the fact that he's a giant. I think this fight would be really cool because it would set up after, if you come from Luffy fighting Kaido to fighting an Admiral and the Gorosei to fighting the strongest Elbaf giant, and then finally having Luffy fight Blackbeard and characters like Akainu, and then finally, of course, his main villain, which is Imu. I think this could be a really good setup. It's like something a surprise, like Loki being that lurking legend like character, and it maybe bring us some cues about Roxy's effect because he's the actual lurking legend. But yeah, I'm a fan of Loki versus Luffy. I'm not gonna lie to you. I wasn't at first, but now I'm looking at his design and how Luffy reacted to him, and the fact that he's saying he's the son of Nika. Like honestly, it's not a bad idea if Luffy fights actual Loki. But all this Loki talk, it just shows how Oda likes to take these mythical characters and make them pivotal. Like Loki, obviously we all know the ties of Loki and Thor, and of course the mythology. Even if you looked at the MCU recently with the whole Loki and Thor, and how Loki has his own show that's super cool. But Loki is usually a mischievous character. He's not really known as the powerful character like Thor is. So to see Loki having the reverse effect and actually be strong, and Hadjiruden actually, like, let's be honest, if Hadjiruden is the Thor-like character we're seeing, Loki beats him in strength by a mile. I actually like where Oda's going with this. Like, Oda's really breaking our ankles here. He's really doing plot twists. And I'm a fan of where Oda wants to take Loki's character. Now, of course, if Loki becomes a jobber and he's not even a pivotal character in Elbaf, this video will be really funny in the future. But I genuinely feel that's not going to happen. I feel like Loki is going to have a pivotal part in Elbaf. And I think in the final fight, Loki will have a major role. Not a minor role, a major role. I've seen him having a pseudo Yamato, pseudo villain role in this arc. So it's going to be in between that. And I think Oda really will do a great job with Loki and give him the credit he deserves. And I'm definitely going to say this. Don't forget about Usopp. Usopp wants to become a brave warrior of the seas. This is Usopp's arc, technically. So expect some Usopp Loki moments to happen in this arc as well, which is going to be very interesting too. Don't forget also to make sure you guys watch my Gear 6 video in Elbaf. I think Luffy's going to activate Gear 6 in Elbaf, so watch that video, guys.